Hello everyone, thanks for having me along, nice to meet you all. So I thought what I could do this afternoon is just kind of give you an introduction as to kind of how we get started with developing the resources for data science that we have, give you a kind of some ideas about what we're trying to achieve with them, and then take you through some of those resources to see what they actually look like. So just to give them a little bit of an introduction to myself, so my background's in technology and education. So I used to work in software development, project management, and then I did a 14-year stint as a primary school teacher. And then I thought 14 years was enough, and I went back and retrained in big data. So I've been involved in data science for the last about 4 years or so. And the last 18 months has been working with Effini, developing resources to teach data science. So that's been really interesting. That's been great, and I'll kind of take you through some of those resources that we used. When I got on board with Effini, and Effini are a data and AI solutions company based in Edinburgh. When I get involved with them, they had already been involved in creating some resources at that point. So my boss, Joe Watts, who is the CEO and founder of Effini, is really passionate about data education, and she's been involved in the creation of the units for the National Progression Award for Data Science, and she was the lead developer for the Professional Development Award for Data Science as well. So she's really enthusiastic about the whole thing. So we've got a small team here, and over the last 18 months to 2 years, we've been developing these resources on a not-for-profit basis. So let me can I share my screen, Kenji?
I believe so. I think I set it to everyone.
Excellent. Right, okay. So let me see if I can do that. So can you see that okay? So this is we've been working with the Data Education in Schools project, who work out of, if you're unfamiliar with them, they work out of Edinburgh University. We've also been working with the Data Lab and the Data Skills for Work team, and we've been funded by the Scottish Government over the last 18 months to develop resources. So as well as the actual resources that learners and educators can use in a school or a college setting, we've also developed some other things as well, like these guides for educators and for learners, and they're downloadable from the Data Education in Schools website. So that's what we're looking at just now. Basically, a couple of documents that, although they're geared around the National Progression Award, they're actually still suitable for the Professional Development Award as well. I'm taking that everyone's kind of familiar with those two awards. Would that be fair enough? And I've actually just realised I can't actually see any of you. Let me see. Yeah, are people familiar with those two awards? Yep. Okay, I'm getting a little bit of nods. Okay, that's good. So yes, so that's a couple of guidebooks that we've produced as part of that. But most of the work we've done has actually been for kind of direct teaching and learning. So let me show you some of that. So we've started making, so all our resources are available, they're all free to use, they're all free to adapt, and we've put them out on a non-commercial Creative Commons license because we want people to be using them. We don't want any kind of barriers to entry, so they are free to use and free to adapt. We've started putting them up on the TES website, and we've created a little shop. So there's about 18 of our lessons uploaded there. We've actually done so far probably in the region of about 50 hours worth of lesson materials, which we think is about half of actually what's required. And I'll come back to that at the very end. So yes, so they're available on the TES shop, but they're also available on this extremely simple website, Learn Data Science. Once we get some additional funding, we'll make this look gorgeous, but at the moment it's really simple. The lessons are intended to be used, so we've tried to straddle quite a few different areas. So our lessons are suitable for both the NPA and the PDA. They're suitable for use in colleges and in schools. So we've tried to use a kind of variety of context to use in the lessons themselves and try and make them as fun and engaging and relevant as possible to quite a wide variety, a wide number of groups. But they're also suitable for use either in a kind of a classroom setting or kind of hybrid or completely remotely, and they could actually be used by individuals who just want to learn themselves and actually just work their way through the lessons. So as I say, we think we're about halfway through. So this is not a comprehensive set of lessons, but these are the ones we've done so far. They're split into two streams, one for Excel and one for Python. So we're trying to, again, it's about reducing those barriers. So the Excel lessons, anyone doing that doesn't have to have any computer science knowledge or understanding, and all they need to have is a little bit, the kind of basics of Excel to be able to do that. But we also wanted to provide another route into learning about data for those that did have a bit of programming experience, and those are the Python lessons that we've done. All of the concepts that we have teaching in the lessons are identical between the Python and the Excel streams. So you won't be learning anything different in terms of the concepts, but you will be in terms of the technology that's used. So as you can see, all of these lessons are just, at the moment, they're just zip files. So just to show you kind of what's inside those zip files and how we've kind of organized things. And we've tried to organize it. When I started getting involved, one of the things that it was immediately obvious to me was, and I remember doing this, I remember looking for resources when I was a teacher and thinking, looking at things, going through it and go, can I use this immediately? Or do I need to do some work with it? So all of the lessons that we've done, you can take them off the shelf and you can use them in your class. And I think that was really important for me anyway. So here's what's inside those zip files. We've got a kind of consistent format of what's included in them. Here's one that's for one of the lessons in the Python stream, and I'll take you through these things in a little bit more detail. So we've got a planning document for teachers so that you can take it, see if it's how it fits, where it fits into, what you need to have done beforehand, etc., and get prepared for that lesson. There's a PowerPoint file, and there's a PDF that's a PDF of the PowerPoint itself. For the Python lessons, there's an IPython, a Jupyter notebook, and that's we've created that in a way to give flexibility to educators, so that that could be used within a local environment, or it could be used in something like Colab, or there's various other tools out there for IPython notebooks, as you will know. So that's the main things that are in the Python zip files, and in the Excel ones it's slightly different. And let me see if I can find, so we've got the same lesson but in Excel. So we've got the same thing with the PowerPoint and the planning document, but this time we've got some exercises in an Excel worksheet, and there's an additional one with answers for teachers or lecturers. So let me show you a little bit about those. So to give you an idea of the PowerPoints themselves, and again, we've tried to kind of standardize this as much as possible and keep it nice and simple. So kind of starting off with assumed knowledge and things that you would expect learners to be able to do or know before that. We've got our learning intentions. And then what we try to do with all of our lessons is, well, I guess when we started looking at what was already out there for learners, one of the things that we found was there was thousands upon thousands of lessons in here's how you do this particular thing. Right, so very technical. To do this thing, here's the magic incantations that you need to be able to use. There was very little on the concepts. There was a lot missing about kind of fundamental concepts. So an example would be some things like data quality, or the kind of ethical considerations of using data. So there's a lot of information missing around concepts, and there was also a lot of information missing around, okay, why do I need to do this thing? And for me, that was an important thing of helping learners understand not only how to do things, but why they might want to do them. The other bit I think was missing was helping learners think analytically, and that's something we've tried to encourage them to do through the actual lessons themselves. So we've got things, for example, a little bit of background of kind of what we've done before, but also like, why are you learning this? You know, why is it important? Why should you even spend your time looking at it? We've got lots of examples of things. So teaching a concept, here's the concept, here's what it looks like. So for example, in sorting, here's what sorting is, and we're taking this back to kind of first principles and making it really kind of straightforward. And then we're going into some actual examples with, in this case, really simple data sets. So some of the lessons we kind of tend to start off with these toy data sets to teach the actual fundamental concepts, but then for the learner, when they're actually using it, we're trying as far as possible to use real data sets, open data sets, of which we have created about 90 at the moment. And all of those data sets are available independently, so you could actually use them independently of the lessons as well. We found that one of the barriers for educators was, although there are, again, thousands of data sets out there that you could potentially use, they're very often not in a format that is suitable, and that the actual cleaning and kind of transformations required to make those suitable for a classroom setting is time consuming. And I know that personally because I've done it, and I've done it with about 90 of them. So yes, so there's an example that's given, and then a little bit of things on best practice. And at this point, we kind of dip into the, right, here's how we actually do this particular thing in Python. So we're explaining what it is that you're going to be doing in Python, and then giving an example with some code, showing the inputs, showing the outputs from that. And then I'm going to skip forward a little bit to the next steps. So at this point, we've taught a concept, we've shown how that works in Python, and then we're asking the learners to go into the Jupyter Notebook and actually have a go at that themselves. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to jump into the Jupyter Notebook that we've got here. So we're saying complete setup and sort rows activity. So here's the Jupyter Notebook for that particular lesson. And this, we're just using Colab for this because it's nice and simple to demonstrate. One of the things that we tried to do with the lessons was to make this the choice of environment for doing this particular work as simple as possible, because we kind of appreciated that it works differently. People's local environments works differently in various environments, and the setting up of the environments and the importing of data is something that can be a bit of a barrier. So we've tried to solve that. So for example, in here, we're using pandas for all of our Python code. We've got our import of our data sets that we've used. So it was, the instruction in the notebook, sorry, the instruction in the PowerPoint was to go to, I think, manipulating rows. So there we go. We've got some instructions, some examples, and then we've got some tasks. So for example, here's a little task. The learners can interactively do that. And this is a Jupyter Notebook for teachers, so it's got the answer in it. We make one available that's purely for learners to do that as well. So that's that. And then let me show you the lesson plan for it. So we've got all the things in here that you'd expect to have, kind of descriptions of the lesson, what's going to be included in it, what the learning intentions are, what learners should know. All of our lessons are tied to the learning outcomes as defined in the PDA, the NPA, and also Data Skills for Work framework. So we've got how this lesson ties into those things and which bits it touches on. And then we've got, for each of the tasks in that Jupyter Notebook, here's what the tasks are and here's what the learner's been asked to do in them. The data sets that were used in it, as I say, you could use those independently, and then just stuff about the license itself. So that's an example of the PowerPoint, Jupyter notebook and lesson plan for one of the lessons in the Python stream. The only real difference between that and the Excel one is the inclusion of an Excel workbook. And again, there's one for the teacher and one for the learner. And within here, there are, so here's an example, a number of worksheets within here for those different tasks, and a variety of different kinds of questions that we've got in here, some of which will be kind of fairly simple kind of recall type things, but other ones potentially requiring the user to go and use Excel to do a particular thing, or to even do some kind of research and come back and provide their answer in that way. Yeah, so that's a kind of a flavour of what we've produced and kind of some of the things that we've thought about as we're doing it. The last thing I think I wanted to show you was just where we've kind of got to. So this is a list that we developed of all the lessons that we think are needed. And as you can see on the right-hand column, we've got lots and lots of them been published. But down here, we have not started. So there's a whole load of things to do with joining and tidying and applications of data science and data visualization and such that we would like to be able to do and we think are needed. So that leads me on to my ask. And my ask of you is, first of all, if you do use the lessons, and please have a look at them, but if you do use them, please give us your feedback. It'd be really welcome. We've been working with a number of individuals and organisations who have given us feedback, and it's been really positive, including we've got a group, I was going to say a bunch, a group of young people who are high school students or college or university students who review our lessons for us and give us very frank feedback, which has actually been extremely useful. But if you could give us feedback, that would be really useful for us. And the second thing is that we have now come to the end of our funding for these lessons. As I said, the initial batch of lessons were funded by the Scottish Government via Data Education Skills. And we've also had more recently some funding from Skills Development Scotland that we've produced lessons for them as well. But we are looking for funding. We really want to continue with these lessons because I think it's really important. So if you know of any potential sources of funding, we would love to hear from you. So that's my ask for today. So I hope that was a useful, if brief, run through of what we've got. I'm really happy to take questions just now, or if you have questions afterwards, I'm really happy to field those as well.
That's brilliant, John. It was an excellent overview. What I'm going to do is just stop the recording for now and just give a bit of time for people to feedback.